Hello there and welcome to our home here in Brittany in northwest France. My name is Jane, my husband Michael's behind the camera. We're early retirees, debt and mortgage free, and we share our thrifty, frugal and money saving tips with you. And as it's a Wednesday, we're going to sit down and have a midweek money chat. Let's have a look at what we're going to talk about today. Well, we do like to have a sit down and a chat with you in a midweek money chat. And this week we're going to be talking all about stretching your small food budgets. Now, for the first time in a long time, and for some of you who may be younger, the first time you've ever experienced, there isn't the choice in the supermarkets that you were used to. There aren't all the brands that you would normally be used to. There aren't all the discounts and deals, the 2-for-1s, the buy one, get one free that we've been used to. We haven't had some things that have been imported, for example. There are difficulties in supply chains and prices are rising really rapidly. In some cases, prices have gone up by 40%, 50%. They really have. The other part that's really affecting so many people is not just food, but everything's gone up. Rents have gone up, energy prices have gone up, fuel for our cars have gone up, and wages have not gone up. So the percentage that we had to buy food has not just come down because our other bills have gone up, but the price of food has drastically gone up. So although we may still have €60, £60, $60 a week to buy food with, it buys so much less food. So in real terms, we really are facing very difficult times, extraordinarily difficult times in some cases. If you don't have the flexibility in your budget to spend more on food, what do you do? So we're going to look now at some strategies and some things that could or just might help you. So let's have a look at those tips now. Now, if you've been watching our videos for a while, you will know that I meal plan. It's something that I always do, and I encourage other people to meal plan. And if you watch the TV, and I love to watch cookery shows, I really do, you will see they have tons and tons and tons of different ingredients. Well, I'll be honest with you, I can't afford those, not on my food budget. And so if you are in that situation where you have got a very small food budget, you're going to have to plan simple meals. Here's an example. On my meal plan, it might say fish pie. There isn't going to be 2 or 3 different types of fish in it, and prawns or crab. It's just not going to happen. There may be one simple fish in it, and that is that. So when it comes to meal planning, pare it back to very simple meals. Still food, still enjoyable, but make a meal plan of very simple meals. Humble food, if you would. Now, if you have a small food budget and you have to stick to that budget and there isn't any more budget, you're going to have to plan for 3 meals a day. You're going to have to work out how many portions you're going to get out of that box of Weetabix, that box of cornflakes, that bag of porridge oats. You're going to have to work that out. You're going to have to work out how much milk do I have with each of this. You're going to have to work that out so you know exactly how much you're going to have to buy. We always eat leftovers for lunch. So you're going to have to maybe, when you cook your evening meal, put a little bit of it aside. So for example, we might have a casserole. We might have some vegetables with it, some mashed potatoes with it. Now for lunch the next day, there may be no meat left to have with that casserole with our lunch. We may just have some of the sauce, some of the vegetables, and some of the potatoes. But we've portioned that. We might have worked out that it might just be a bit of soup for lunch. But if you're going to need to stick to this very, very low food budget, and people are having to face that now, they're really having to face that, you're going to have to plan for every single meal of the day to make sure that you put that money aside so everybody gets those meals and you've got enough. Now, if you're trying to stretch a very small food budget, you cannot afford to be fussy. You cannot afford to be picky. You cannot afford to have favours of this and not of that. You can't do that. You cannot say, well, I prefer to eat this to that. You can't be fussy. You are going to have to make economic decisions. It might be that you move to UHT milk or UHT yogurts, or the long life bread, for example, that you bake yourself later. It may be that you might have to, when you get paid, buy a lot of these products in one go, get them in your larder to see you through the month. You can't be fussy and say, I won't eat tinned fish, I won't eat tinned corned beef, I won't eat tinned tuna. You can't afford to be fussy. You can't be fussy to say that I will only eat fresh vegetables and not frozen or not tinned. You cannot afford to be fussy. And if you cannot afford to be fussy, what you have to be is flexible. And you will need to maybe eat things that you prefer less, but you are going to need to be, because like I said, if you cannot afford to be fussy, you will have to be flexible. Now the next thing we do, and we do this all the time, is that we stretch and we bulk. So we stretch out meals and we bulk meals. An example would be a casserole. So in my casserole there may be some chicken, there may be some beef, there may be some pork. But there'll be a lot of tinned tomatoes, there'll be a lot of onions, there'll be a lot of leeks, there'll be a lot of the cheaper things in there to stretch that out. There may be more lentils in there, for example. If I use something with minced beef, ground steak, I think Americans call that, we will put more lentils in there. There will be more sauce in there. And an example would be, especially in the UK, if you're going to stretch out that roast chicken, you might only have a small chicken, for example, but you're stretching out that meal. There will be more potatoes on the plate. There will be more carrots, more cabbage, more of the cheaper stuff on there. If you're having pasta and tomato sauce, you might have a little bit more pasta than usual, a little bit more rice than usual. I'm not suggesting anybody stuffs their face or overeats. I'm not suggesting that at all. But you will be stretching it out with the cheaper stuff, and that always means there will be more vegetables and less meat and less fish to make that go further. So remember that one when you're making that budget go further. You are stretching and you are bulking. section I've titled Time Machine, because I want us to go back in time here. I want us to go back to those old-fashioned recipes, those tasty recipes, those cottage pies, the toad in the hole, the stew with dumplings, the beans and rice, the meatloaf. You all know and love those dishes like macaroni and cheese. Those old-fashioned recipes that got people through hard times. Those meals that stuck to your ribs and kept you full up until the next meal times. I want to bring back puddings. I want to bring back those puddings that you have, those jam sponges and custard. You've got your protein there from the milk in the custard. You're filling yourself up with those. Again, I'm not suggesting anybody overeats, but it's just how you stretch that budget. And it is. And those things that we ate in the past, they give us a really good feeling, those lovely memories. So dig out your old cookery books, go back in time and look at those recipes from our past, from our childhood that kept us going through those hard times. They were good food. Get your old cookery books out, get in your time machine and let's have a look at those old-fashioned recipes. Now my next section I've titled 3 Square Meals, because it sounds nicer than don't snack, stop eating snacks. Now, when we're trying to cut back on food and we've only got a small food budget, we haven't got a lot of money for all the little extras. We haven't got that, have we? And we do have to be sensible. And it does mean we need to give ourselves a good breakfast, a good bowl of porridge in the morning, something like that, that's going to keep you going until lunchtime. And at lunchtime, a good bowl of vegetable soup, something that's going to keep you going until meal times. And make sure that you are, just like I said before, bulking and stretching. So you're eating plenty of good nutritious vegetables with your meals at the same time. If you're in the breakfast time, for example, if those jars of applesauce that are really reasonably priced and you add that to your porridge, if you're adding tinned fruit to it as well, it's just stretching it, isn't it? But it's making sure that you fill yourself up with good food at meal times, because if you are on a budget, all of those little bits and pieces in between will break your budget. And if you haven't got that kind of money in your budget, then you do need to make sure that those 3 meals, those good solid meals, are going to keep you going until you sit down at that dinner table again. 3 square meals. Now my final title is Plan Variety and Make Do. It is really, really miserable if you're just eating the same things over and over and over, and you do need to get creative. Now, on a limited budget, for example, I have a set amount of money for a week for meat. And that might mean that 1 week I just buy pork, 1 week I just buy chicken, 1 week I just buy some beef. And I split that into portion sizes and I freeze it and I put it away. Now, it then means I have a limited choice, doesn't it? A limited choice. And that's when the internet is my friend. I might start looking for different recipes. I might think, well, I've still got brown lentils, or I've still got split red lentils, or I've got lots of chickpeas, or I've got lots of kidney beans. And I'm looking for different ways to do different things with the same ingredients. So really try and do your research with your recipes. So even if you've got that limited budget, start looking at ways that you can take the same things but cook them in different ways, because there's nothing more soul destroying than eating the same things over and over and over. So plan for variety and make do. And what I mean by that is, if you do have a recipe and it says you put olives in it, but you haven't got any olives, just leave them out. If it says use pork, but you haven't got pork, but you've got chicken, use chicken. Be flexible, use what you've got, and plan for that variety. So these are tough times, aren't they? Our car fuel has gone up, our health insurance is going up, our house insurance is going up, our electricity prices are going up, everything's going up, our food prices are going up, our pensions, our incomes, they are not. So this is what I want, some bits and pieces from you. I want the sharing community here. Leave a comment below about how you're managing this. How are you coping with this? What creative ways have you found to stretch your food budget, for example? Just leaves me to say thank you so very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, give it a like. If you're not a subscriber, go on, become a subscriber. It costs you absolutely nothing and it really helps us grow the channel. Just leaves me to say thank you so very much for joining us here in our little midweek money chat, and I'll see you again really soon. Goodbye for now.